All right, well, good morning everyone. So, you all have asked me to create a video for you to show you how I prepare the turkey that we're going to eat today. So I'm going to do my best to do that. I've prepared some things ahead of time and I've taken pictures of those steps, and I will try to post those pictures along with this video. But primarily, this is going to be a very simple turkey preparation recipe. There are others that are much more elaborate. They take more time and they can result in really great turkeys, but I wanted to do something simple and fast for you this morning. So the first thing that I've done is prepared the turkey. I've taken it out of the bag after defrosting it in the refrigerator for about 5 days. I also first ran it under water for about 4 hours before I put it in the refrigerator, and then let it sit for about 5 days. So now it's completely thawed. I was able to remove the neck and the giblets, as we call it, which is a little bag. Always make sure that you remove the neck and you remove the giblet bag out of the back or top of the turkey, so that you can use those in a gravy or broth mix that I will show in a little while. Okay. What I've also done is taken 2 sticks of butter, and I've added my salt, pepper, poultry seasoning, and some fresh garlic to that, and that's what we're going to stuff under the skin. The reason we stuff butter under the skin is because we want the meat to stay moist. Turkey is very dry naturally, so we have to add some fat into the meat, especially the breast meat, so that it will end up being moist and it will stay moist during the cooking process. So again, 2 sticks of butter, about a tablespoon of pepper, a couple tablespoons of just chopped garlic, and I've added a tablespoon of poultry seasoning. This is salted butter, so I didn't add any extra salt to it, but if you use unsalted butter, make sure you add about a teaspoon of salt to that, okay? So I've cleaned and washed, dried the turkey, okay? It's going to need to be dry because later we're going to put oil on the outside. Now, of course, some of you may be wondering about stuffing. So there is stuffing mix that if you wanted to stuff the turkey, we could certainly stuff it inside of there. The only thing is, if you're going to stuff a turkey, it's going to take more time to cook. And so whenever you look at that, make sure you're following the recipe on the back of the package or back of the bag, and it will tell you approximately how much more time you might need. Or there sometimes are instructions that come with your turkey that will tell you what to do if you stuff it. It takes about 30 to 45, maybe even an hour extra, depending on what kind of stuffing you have. All right, so it's clean, it's dry, it's ready for us to begin. So what I'm going to do is start up here at the bottom of the breast where we have the cavity. And I use gloves because to me it works better, but you certainly don't have to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to start opening up the space between the meat and the skin. Okay? I want to do that on both sides. Just be gentle with it. You don't want to tear open the skin because that'll let your butter run out. Okay? But we need to get back all the way through into the top of the breast area here so that we can get our butter inside of there. And then that way we can get that good seasoned herbed butter inside of the breast on top of there, and then that way it should help that stay moist during the cooking process. So I'm going to use a roaster today, which some of you may use and some of you may not. You can certainly use an oven if you use a roasting pan. The only thing with the roaster, it's not going to take as much time, okay? So you have to watch it more, all right? You have to watch your turkey more. Make sure that if it has the little pop-up timer, that you're watching it, because one thing that'll dry out a turkey faster than anything is if you overcook it. So that's really the key. You want to put some type of fat on top of here to help add moisture and add some fat into the breast, but you also want to make sure that you do not overcook it. Okay, so I've opened up my pockets there, and now I'm going to begin putting in my herbed butter, just by the handful here. So this is a 20-pound turkey. I like to use Butterball turkeys. It's a time-honored brand, I would say, as we would say. And they have decent turkeys. Of course, any turkey can be good if prepared properly. Okay. So yeah, you're gonna notice I'm just gonna push that back as far as I can into there, all the way down inside. You're really trying to get that butter throughout this meat so that you don't end up with dry meat. Okay. Also helps season it, because really if you eat with the skin on the turkey, seasoning the outside of the turkey is not going to get that seasoning onto the meat. It's just going to stay on the outside. So we've got to get it in here so where it can actually work in the meat. Now I'm actually going to take a spoon in a minute, push it down inside there farther. Again, messy process. I like to use gloves when I'm able to, but if you're brave, you can go without gloves. Okay. Now I'm also going to take a little bit that I have left here. I'm going to work a little bit from the back end and just add a little extra to the neck area by just working some of it in here through the back. Same thing, you're just using your fingers to separate the skin from the meat. Don't need as much here because that butter is going to run down as it melts. Okay. So again, now just using a spoon, just going to help push some of that just a little further down. Use your fingers on the outside here to kind of help hold it in place. Just want to make sure I get it all evenly distributed. Okay. Make sure I get all of that up. Now, you could save some of this butter to use on the outside. And I'm going to go ahead and use what's left on my hand here to spread around. And I'm also going to add some oil to the outside of this as well. Oil will help keep the skin crisp, also helps brown it. The turkeys that you see in the commercials and on the books and magazines always look perfectly brown, and that's because you're using oil on the skin, and then that helps to brown it. So we'll make sure we do both. We'll also have to make sure that we oil the bottom of the turkey. Keep it from burning. I didn't put any butter necessarily on top of the drumsticks because that is as a dark meat, it's going to be more moist. You certainly can, if you work your fingers around inside there, you can always take some of that butter and work it up on top of the drumsticks as well, just by coming in from the side and working that on top of your drumsticks if you like. Okay. I'm going to make sure that skin comes back over. Okay, you want to make sure it's completely covered. You may at this point want to use your hands a little bit to finish spreading that butter inside the skin around. Make sure it's kind of evenly distributed. Okay. I'm going to take the neck skin and just tuck it back inside there, okay, because we don't need that open. There's nothing going to go in there. So again, at this point, if you wanted to have your stuffing, you would go ahead and prepare your stuffing according to the instructions, and we would go ahead and stuff it inside of the cavity of the turkey. I'm not going to do that because it's mostly time constraints today. We wouldn't really, I don't think, have the time to have this turkey finish itself in the time for a meal if I went ahead and stuffed it. So we're not going to do that. But what I am going to do, though, is I am going to stick a couple of bay leaves in there, plus we'll salt and pepper the inside, and then we'll call that good, okay? So next, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use just a little bit of olive oil, and then we're going to spread that around. And we'll also salt and pepper the outside here. Okay. So I'm just going to use that to go around. Make sure you catch the wings if you want to eat those. Again, make sure the skin is nice and oiled, that way it browns up pretty. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over on its side there. Throw this away because we're not going to need that. I'm going to go ahead and oil this side as well. Helps keep it from sticking inside of our roaster. Again, will help brown up on the bottom here. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and start with my salt and pepper. Turn it back over. Okay, looks good. Okay. Gotta make sure you get the inside of the cavity here. And pepper. So again, there are many different recipes. Search on the internet if you want to find, just Google it, turkey recipes. Also the turkey websites like Butterball, Honeysuckle, they have their own recipes there that work really well. There are many different kinds of stuffings you can use to put inside of these. Different fruits, vegetables, different flavors that you can put inside of there, okay? Now what I am going to do is in a moment I'm going to cut up some onions and celery to stick inside of here as well. So we'll do that here in just a moment. But now, basically, the turkey is pretty well ready to go. Again, I'm going to prepare my onions and celery. We're going to stuff that inside because that won't add too much to the cooking time, but it will add flavor to the turkey. And when I come back, we'll stuff that and get it cooking.